Going into 2025, what are the newest trends? What are the newest tactics that you can all apply? And so that's really what I'm breaking down today. They all spoke. It was a full day event, but now I'm just bringing the Spark notes to you all so that way you can just kind of get the good stuff and apply it to your marketing. Thank you, Afro.
Cool videos.
No, you rock. I appreciate it. So if you can see the plan today, pretty straightforward. I'm going to break down like a dozen different strategies from different content creators that are in the real estate space. In fact, if you can do the math, there's more than 10 of us up there. So I'm going to be flying through a lot of different tactics, slides, video examples. I like to move fast. We'll definitely save some time at the end if you guys have some questions. So feel free to write some notes.
They work with me. They get fast.
Yeah, I know the pace. I know the pace around here. So if it's all right with you guys, I'm just going to get right into it. And let me make sure my clicker's working. All right, so just like she had said, about 4 years ago, I was kind of dabbling with this, kind of making social media on the side for fun. I decided to get 100 real estate homies in the room and just kind of learn directly from them. I didn't speak at this event. I hosted it downtown and literally just wanted to sit like you guys and just kind of absorb all the different tactics. And so over the last 4 years, what that ended up leading to is I personally produced over 3,500 videos now. So I kind of have a big data sample that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today on what works and what doesn't. And obviously a lot of these videos were for myself, my own personal brand, so I'll be speaking from experience. But you guys might even recognize some of the top coaches, some of the top events, podcasts. In fact, was anyone at Vegas Real Rise this last year? Okay, cool. So we shot for Real Brokerage, the speakers, the sessions, all that good stuff. So we're really, really close to home with a lot of you here. Okay, so YouTube is something that we'll maybe even touch on. I'm sure a lot of you guys have some questions. That's a big opportunity that we're seeing for realtors. And then we've even shot a TV commercial for an investment company. And then anyone know the rapping realtor, Steven Diaz? So we did a music video with him down in, I think was it Barrio Logan? We almost got we legitimately almost got in 2 separate fights in the streets trying to make this video. So sometimes you, yeah, exactly. That's like word for word what they said. Yeah.
That's point number 1.
Yeah.
Pat, you go there, you're not coming out alive.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you're gonna have to make some sacrifices for your content.
He's gonna get beat up. Sorry.
Yeah, from Carlsbad to Chula Vista. I like it. I like it. So right now, a lot of these examples to show, we produced out of those 4,000 videos from agents from Hawaii to East Coast, West Coast, Texas. So again, a lot of this has been tested in different markets, buyer's agents, seller's agents, depending on what you're trying to do. I know a lot of this can apply. So actually just a few months ago then, I decided to run it back and had a bunch of real estate friends. This is actually in Barrio as well. And again, try to get the updates on going into 2025. What are the newest trends? What are the newest tactics that you can all apply? And so that's really what I'm breaking down today. They all spoke. It was a full day event, but now I'm just bringing the Spark notes to you all so that way you can just kind of get the good stuff and apply it to your marketing. All right, so now that you have some degree of proof that I have experience and know what I'm talking about, the promise is that you're gonna get a whole ton of tactics today, but I dare you, I challenge you to just master one of them. Because rather than you just applying a bunch of these, if you can master one of these tactics, then I can pretty much guarantee you'll launch your business to another level this year. All right, so first one, Chelsea Pites. So she's actually a coach in the real estate space, and really the one takeaway that I got from her is that a lot of people's content, when you go to their page, when you look at their social, it's just not very scannable. And so what does that mean? You want to take the 2 or 3 second test and see if that passes. Like have a friend that doesn't maybe look at your social a ton, have them glance at your page for 2 or 3 seconds. Can they tell exactly what you're about, who you help, what you do? And that scan test isn't just for the grid or just looking at your broader social. It's actually looking at each individual video as well. So in the first 3-5 seconds of a video, can they tell what you're about? In the first few seconds of looking at any of your content in your bio, can they tell what you're about? So a lot of us, I think, just need to simplify or narrow or condense what you have. If it's working with ADUs in a certain part of San Diego, then I would get really, really clear about that. If it's working with just first-time home buyers in Carlsbad or whatever it is, then I'd get really, really clear about that. So I'd take a glance at your content and then see if it passes the scan test. Go ahead.
Something Sharon actually sent in like our Instagram messenger or whatever was becoming like a specialist, so like a specialty in Revive or a specialty in first-time home buyers, whatever. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes, it's basically, you guys know this more than I do. It's so noisy and crowded in the real estate space. So if you're like just a realtor who sells homes, it's like, how does that even differentiate you from any of the other people that they know? So I think you want to find your lane and just hammer those keywords. Like maybe find 1 or 2 keywords, and then in your content, in your bio, and everything that you're doing in your marketing, just continue to hammer that association.
Would you be like area too? So if you're like, hey, Chula Vista, like this is their pocket, or like Escaya, like
For sure.
narrow it down like that?
If that is part of your specialty and niche, like some people, maybe I'm going back to the ADUs, maybe they're ADUs all over San Diego, but it's whatever you think is going to be your kind of lane that you focus on. I get really, really loud about that. So for me, it's videos, and I'm telling you, you might feel like it's redundant when it's in your world and you're talking about it, but I promise most of those people that are scrolling past and barely see you once a week or at most, like it takes 1,000 reps for them to really associate those keywords with you. Okay, next one. So buddy Kyle in San Diego, yeah, maybe a friend of me in the office.
They cheat.
Okay, yeah.
We won't ever play with them
Oh, I
again.
grabbed him by the collar.
Oh no, that's right. Nice. So 90% of what we're going to talk about today is social. It is one-to-many. It's more broad. But the punchline on this one is it doesn't always have to be like public video content. It can be one-to-one private video content. So what I mean is if you have like a buyer consultation, ideally you would have some sort of video that you send them before and after. If you have a listing presentation, are you sending them a video before and after? If you're doing follow-ups in your CRM. So all of these videos that he has here are actually listed as private, so you can't even find them and search them. But over the years, he uses them as assets to, again, retain attention with their clients. So you all probably have dozens or more people that you're kind of in your sphere that you're talking to, maybe showing homes, etc. And this one-to-one type of video is a method that's kind of easy, especially if you're a little bit anxious about social media or whatever it is. Then I'd think about what one-on-one videos can you send to people. And again, even as simple as like a little selfie that sends a follow-up like, hey Afro, it's been a while since we caught up, like let's find a time to hang or whatever it is. Like those little videos can have a big impact and you don't have to stress about them going on social and being all edited and that kind of stuff. All right. So on this next one, a little bit more interactive. I want to challenge you all to pull out your phone real quick. I'm going to take you through a little exercise. I want you to pull up Instagram. Let's see, Carlsbad Chad, maybe you got some of the insights on this. I want you to pull up your most recent reel, or any reel you want. And then there should be, depending on, maybe some of you might have your settings right, and some of you might even have a reel posted, it looks like, recently, so you can kind of look at a friend's phone. But click on the insights for one of your reels, and it'll give you, there we go, we hear all the audio's going. We hear, there it is. Yeah, now we can see what kind of content you're making. All right, so on the insights, if you scroll down, there's a couple of things I want to point out, but probably the most impactful one that I want you to focus on for this one is watch time. Anyone see that? Anyone see the watch time on there? All right, let's hear it, Chad.
It's blank. It's just 2 dashes.
Oh, maybe it's not enough. Yeah.
Not watching it at all.
How about, go ahead, you said 2 hours, 30 seconds. What's the average watch time though?
2 hours, 36 minutes, average watch time 7 seconds.
All right, cool.
This is great. This is like 3 hours, which is amazing.
What's the average right underneath it?
5 seconds. It's
All
a
right.
17-second reel.
Okay, cool. So 5 seconds, 7 seconds, that's just a big takeaway on what I was saying a minute ago. Like, you pretty much have to pass that scan test. If you're spending the first 4 seconds introducing yourself, saying it's great to be here, like people are already scrolling past you. And so, and again, I don't want you to get too lost in making 6-second videos because there's something to be said for the people that watch the whole 17 seconds and so on. But that indicator on how long they're watching your video is probably the biggest indicator on how well your video is doing at retaining the viewer. And Instagram wants everyone to be glued to their app so that they can serve more ads and make more money. So if you have a video that has strong watch time, that's how the video gets shared and more viral. Like if you have 100 followers today, your video has a chance to be seen by 100,000 people in San Diego if the watch time is strong.
What's considered strong?
Good question. So anything pretty much breaking 10 seconds as an average on your video is probably relatively strong. And then the way I would sort of double down on that is take that same topic and just make another video quite literally in the same way. So change the hook, change the background, make some slight adjustments, but keep hammering that because the watch time is the indicator on if that video did really well. If you have a video that's like 3-second average watch time, then that's how you know you totally shit the bed on that and need to like kind of change it up.
You might go into it later. What are things that would make somebody watch it longer?
I mean, that's kind of like the endless game that we're all trying to figure out, right? So like it could be as crazy as like you setting your pants on fire and getting weird, but that's like not, yeah, but that's not, but like you want to balance, yeah, exactly. So you want to balance retaining the viewer, but also positioning you in a way that they want to make a 6 or 7 figure transaction with you. So maybe some light bullet points on this are like storytelling, you know, actually having a reason for them to hang versus like if they just get their takeaway in 5 seconds, then of course they're going to scroll past you. But if they want to hear the end of the story, then that's a good way to try and retain them or hold them to the end. One other quick, while you're on your Insights tab, if you see this little pie chart when you scroll down, you'll notice now Instagram changed from what was really nerdy for a second, a social graph, which is basically showing all your content to your friends, your family, your followers, to now what's an interest graph. So again, even if you have 0 followers, Instagram's gonna take the things you said in that video and then show it to the people that they believe are interested in whatever it is you're talking about in that video. And so that pie chart will show you what percentage of people are your existing followers versus not, and it's usually about 50-50. So it means any given video you post, pretty much half the people that see it have never seen you before and don't follow you. So keep that context in mind when you're making some of these videos.
In what case would it be that, like, I have one that only 22% of my followers watched it, but 77% of non-followers watched it? Like, why did that, does that mean it was pushed out to, like,
to more non-followers? Yeah, I mean, basic answer would just be like some of your existing audience didn't care as much about it as, you know, but vice versa example might be like me showing a picture of me and my 4 kids. Like a lot of strangers are not going to care about that and scroll past it. So a high percentage would probably be my existing followers. So
What's your watch time on that one?
it was 4, well, the
average.
watch time was 4 seconds, and then it was 2 hours and 15 minutes.
That you said was one post. Sorry, Conor.
no, you're good. That's
Yeah,
good. That's a good point.
Yeah, it was a reel I posted January 2nd.
What was the watch time on that one?
2 hours,
What's that?
but they say it for 4 seconds.
As an average.
Average.
Yeah.
4 seconds.
Yeah, so my guess on that one is it probably wasn't framed in a way where strangers would care about it. It was probably very like inside joke or specific to you.
He's got one where he's got his shirt off and he's working out, and he had like 96% were like non-members, and they watched for like 10 seconds because he's got his shirt off and he's working out. And
Yes.
and he's on the beach. And I'm not gonna lie, you guys, that's what's gonna get your non-members. I'm not telling you to go topless, but like, you got a bunch of non-members on that one to follow.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's why they post the same videos.
I mean, bro, like you get people in. I'm not telling you to be topless.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. You probably already know this. They just launched. This is good because they're on Reels. What's that test reel feature that may be good for them? To
Yeah.
out with their followers?
Yeah, I actually don't love it. It's basically, I think, a soft way of throwing out your content but being scared. Like I think the idea is for someone to post, look at these analytics, and then decide if you want to make it a more like, you know, wider posted reel. But to me, there's almost no risk in posting like a shitty video. Like yes, you don't want to just constantly make bad content, but like the algorithm will show it to people who care, and then people who don't care are going to scroll past, and then no one's losing sleep about how good or bad your video was.
Have you seen any engagement from the test ones? I've done 3 and I haven't, not even a view, like nothing.
Yeah.
And then I just post them all and
Yeah, exactly. I literally have not even done the test one because I just feel like it's sort of like regular, just like I said, the whole interest graph versus social graph, that's kind of now a test as it is.
the other
So-
thing too, with a lot of you that are hesitant to put out content, it gives you a chance to not post it. So I wouldn't utilize it, just post where you're gonna post.
And I think you just gotta get out of your head. Just fucking
Yeah.
post it. Like just like literally, it's just do it. Just post it, no matter what it is. And even if it's shitty content, and like I think you look at it, and we like to like agents like to overanalyze and overthink shit. So somebody's gonna get on here and spend like all the time and be like, oh, don't overthink it, because at least one person watched it, you know what I mean? And then what you do is double down on the good ones, like double down on the ones like he said, which I think is perfect. Like, you get so many views and so much watch on your buyer consult one, double down on it, do it again. Albert, the one you just posted with your big head, like he just posted one where he did like the map behind him. No, change it, do a vidyard. Or like, you know what I mean, do something similar to it, but with a tweak. That's the kind of stuff you use this for. It's not to like not do it or pull one down, still post. I can show you Dean's, and while we're doing this, I'm gonna find Dean's first video, you guys. Just post. Bro, it's amazing. When he's done, I will post it up here for you guys to watch it. I'm gonna find it. Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, sorry. Conor, we're hijacking you.
No, this is good. This is good. This is good. I want the questions and contribution. And just like they're saying, don't get so lost in the sauce on like numbers and trying to go viral. Like, to this day, my single most like affluent person that reached out to me on LinkedIn, and he never showed a single like, never sent a single message. I was getting like, we're talking, double-digit views on LinkedIn, and then after a year, reached out and said, we want to work and partner in some way or another. So all you need is technically one viewer from the right person for that to turn into a transaction or referrals. All right, let's move it along. So my guy Justin is the single most tattooed realtor actually in real estate. That's his claim to fame. But I think the big takeaway when he was talking about is his niche, or when we talked about specializing in a way that helps you stand out, is this rebel market fit. So there are probably certain celebrities you can think of or famous people that really lean into this. But it was a lot of what we talked about in the very beginning. That find the thing that makes you unique, and then get really, really loud about it. And I think when we try to play it safe and do, well, this person does that, so I'm gonna copy that, or I'm gonna copy these other people, it's pretty much a guaranteed way to not stand out. So if you can find the things that help you, differentiate yourself, then that's what you'd wanna lean into. And he talked about how this is actually the unlock that took him from being a truck driver to now selling hundreds of homes in just a matter of a few years.
Are those shorts or pants?
Both. Yeah. Yes. But what he found was like the whole vibe attracts your tribe. Like the people that had been through what he'd been through, other tattoo artists locally are probably his number one client avatar, he said. And he was in a real estate, this is a quick story, he said he was in a real estate like association meeting or whatever, and they said like, how can you present yourself like this? Like, who is it you're trying to work with? And he said, like, I'm already working with tattoo artists and a lot of these people. And they're like, well, they don't have money, this or that. And he's like, these guys are making 300, 400K, yet they're all being left alone because, people just assume that they have to fit in a certain way or wear a certain suit. So again, I think leaning into your certain style is actually one of the biggest advantages when you're making content. Yeah.
Play bigger.
Yeah.
Nicest guy you'd ever talk to.
He
Like,
is.
super, super, super nice guy.
Big time.
Like, awesome.
Speaking of play bigger, yeah. So, okay, I actually posted about it this morning, but these two ladies, one started an in-person podcast, and then the other one, Raquel, started a remote virtual podcast. Big takeaway on this section is creating an interview or podcast style model might be the most efficient way for you guys to capture content. I know years ago, I was like super anxious about being on video. I didn't even like looking at the camera, but I love having conversations with people. And so just clicking record on Zoom, like I didn't even post these on podcast platforms. I didn't try and make some high production thing, but just finding a way to have a conversation and then click record is one of the easiest ways for you guys to create content. And so interviews with past clients, interviews with other realtors, local business owners in Tijuana, whatever it is, I think that's one of the best ways to create content, because even if, let's just assume worst case scenario, let's say you get 0 views on your content, no one actually sees it. But if you interviewed 100 business owners in Tijuana, like, don't you think that could lead to some opportunities and introductions? So the podcast model, and then obviously like the next level up would be clipping or promoting and using that as content. And then anyone familiar with the collaborator feature on Instagram? Yeah. Cool. So when all right, see some people shaking. So basically, how you can tag, like I was with Dean, I was with Afro in a photo. Now you can tag it as a collaborator, and then if they accept your invite, you'll show up literally on their feed as if they posted it. So kind of taking this up another level, if you found a local influencer who legitimate, like, or even just the president of the HOA, maybe they only have 500 followers. But if you collaborate with them, make content with them, and then show up on their feed, you're now hacking new audiences that have never seen you, and they see you in the same frame, and so now they're wondering, all right, who's this Conor guy? I actually kind of trust him, or I look into him. So this collaborator, I'll have another example here in a little bit, but interviews and collaborations, that's probably my single favorite model for getting more content.
Do you have any specific strategies on like how you get your interview questions or what you're going to talk about? I know it kind of caters to like who you're speaking with.
I think you'll
But
say it.
like if you had a genre, like for example, mine would be fitness. If I wanted to go interview all the fitness coaches in San Diego, like
Yep.
how would I structure a convo?
Great question. So I would 50-50, I look at this in two parts. So one is, like you just mentioned, lean into, like you ideally want to lean into their story, their strengths, their expertise and experience, put them on. It'll sort of make them feel elevated, and that's how you're going to get some warm responses in that way. And they're going to feel more natural talking about fitness or whatever it is. But the second part of that bucket is obviously relating it to your business. Again, we don't want to just set our pants on fire just to get views. So like position that in a way that, as an example for like a local gym or something, I'd say, hey, where are the 3 best places in Tijuana to work out? Or if I'm trying to do outdoor trail runs, around La Jolla, where are the best places to do that? So I'd make it like local, location, try and tie it to real estate, maybe in a home gym or something, and then start talking about how do people build a home gym in their property. So I would try and connect the dots a little bit to what you do, but still start with leaning on their story as a beginning.
Question.
Great question.
Should you always lead with, hey, I want to get a transaction out of this?
No. I mean, I do.
That's what I figured.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that's what a lot of, I think, just being honest, right? I think that's where we shoot a couple of videos and you could get discouraged because, it's not the result you want.
For sure. For sure. I mean, I think if I'm understanding your question, it is a long-term game, and I think that's good knowing, going into it, that's good knowing, but it's also worth being transparent with anyone. Like, look, I'm trying to build my business here in Tijuana, so I'm trying to connect with more people, build a community of local homeowners that actually like and know and trust what I'm doing, so that can lead to selling more homes. So I think that is, definitely part of it as the truth. All right, so again, I won't play these, but these are just, if you can find out of those conversations. So in reality, like, let me go back to what I was doing a few years ago. I was just hopping on Instagram Live, and then I'd have like a 15, 20-minute recording. Like, full transparency, almost no one was watching those. But then I would take the 30-second moments that were insightful or inspiring or funny or whatever it is, and then clip that into a video. And so even just taking those conversations, those interviews, remember, that's like a model for you to get videos. It's not about trying to get everyone to watch your full episode. That's really hard. But it's just trying to find a hack for you to get videos and do it in a way that's easy for you or comfortable enough.
We actually run a podcast here.
Nice.
Lou runs it, and we do it in the office. Who's done it so far?
24 people.
24 people. Who is signed up to do it already?
There's like 6 others.
Like none
Our
of you
goal is
guys are
to-
signed up? You haven't done it yet? Okay, all of you have not done it yet, raise your hand.
You haven't
Okay,
done it
do me a
yet
favor,
either. Oh, yeah.
sign up and get it on the schedule so you guys get that done. He actually creates those for you, we have a VA
Yeah.
that literally creates those 20-second clips that you can actually post for yourself. So we do it for you.
Yeah.
Nice plug.
That right there, no, but seriously, that would be like,
Full plug, I don't give a fuck.
So we use a bunch. So we'll shoot the entire podcast in the green room,
Yeah.
send it to VA and updates. Everyone gets like 15 to 20 social media clips.
I'm telling you, if I were in the chair, that's the number one thing I would do today. Because it's like,
Take time after if you want.
Oh, we're gonna get you on it, we're gonna get you
Yeah.
on the Dag Life podcast.
Because you don't have to like come up with a script or come up with something crazy or worry about keeping their attention the whole time. Again, just let yourself get comfortable, kind of like flexing those muscles, and then maybe there's going to be a 20-second moment that's usable. So the conversations, interviews are a great strategy.
I just wanted to say I actually did the podcast yesterday with him, and it's so harmless. Like, it does not hurt at all.
Did somebody say Lou was not gentle? Like, who said it hurt?
Some people have had their feelings hurt, I'll put it that way, but
It depends what you say.
you only sign up and find out.
Sign up. No.
I'm just,
There's not a couch in there.
why do you think I lock it every time I go in?
It's often.
Question for Lou, how do you sign up for your podcast?
I'll I'll email everyone again today.
Perfect.
And email you the calendar link so you can sign up.
Yes, perfect. No, but that's proof. That's a lot of us are thinking going into these like, oh shit, this is gonna be awful. It's gonna be painful. Like it's gonna be bad content, all that. Like truly, just like getting those first ones going. I know they're the hardest, but like I can guarantee, like you're more willing to do another one or some version of that now going forward. So.
What I will say too, and obviously
There you
don't
go.
steal your thunder, is within the first 2 to 3 minutes, everyone always forgets the camera's here and there.
Yeah.
And it's just a very even keeled conversation. It's almost like role play, but it's very smooth. You just forget there's even anything recorded.
Camera's charged.
Are you guiding?
Yeah, so I'll control the entire conversation. So it's literally just like a role play where we're just flowing with the entire conversation.
It's not even a role play, you're just talking to somebody.
No,
This
but I
is
mean
where you
the
don't
flow.
have to be
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
yo,
Yeah.
it's just a conversation.
Yeah.
And there's a camera there, that's it. You can say fuck shit balls, like you can say whatever you want. I don't care, like be you naturally. Like when I get in there, that's what I'm gonna do. It's my challenge at every time I speak is to say fuck shit balls at every single one. And any presentation I've ever done, I say it. Watch. Watch all my presentations. Anytime I've been on stage, I've said it, but go ahead.
Love it.
Now that you know it, next time
Yeah.
you hear one, you're gonna be like, she did it.
Oh, we might have proof in a little bit. Wasn't it?
Actually, that's 100% because they told me not to. And I'm like, ooh, challenge accepted.
All right, a couple homies will flash on the screen. I know we talked about the music video we made earlier. I think big reminder on this one is sometimes when you're thinking about content, it's very like, anyone here heard of the love languages before?
Yeah.
All right, so same idea with marketing. There's strategy, education, super serious, and there's like heartfelt storytelling, emotions, and then there's just like goofy, having fun, skits. And truly, all the viewers are pretty evenly spread across those. So I would think like Steven's a great example where a lot of his content is very entertaining, lighthearted, and just having fun. So if that's your style or like that's something you're more comfortable with, then lean into those different love languages in the content that you're making. All right, next one, Scott. So he's actually not just the #1 LO in San Diego, he's the #1 LO in all of California. And like he wouldn't disagree with what I'm about to say. Like his social media is not like crazy. In fact, like a year ago, he had 0 social.
He just started out.
Yeah. And so the big strategy though, and again, this to me is related to like marketing and growing your business, obviously, and I'll connect the dots to social media, but his big pillar of growing was actually just in-person events. And so again, thinking back to like what's a good hack in order to get content, I think just hosting small local events. So again, if it's here locally and you just invite a couple business owners, or it's like a ladies event for women in real estate or whatever it is, just playing the host, renting, even using space like this or a coffee shop or something for a couple of hours. And if you can get even just 4 people in the room, let alone maybe 40 people in the room, that's one of the easiest ways for you to set the stage for content. So like, I don't know if some of you guys saw, I literally set up a camera in the back here.
You got an hour and a half
Yeah,
of content right now.
exactly. So if you can find the settings where you're doing your normal thing or talking about the thing you do and then find a way to click record, then that's another hack to get content. So he was doing his normal events, his normal lunches. We started documenting, recording, clipping, all the things that we've been talking about up to this point. And then in fact, since you have 4 or 40 of your client avatars in the room, that's another great opportunity. We just talked about the interviews or the collabs. This one is actually my single favorite. So if you get like, you can get a mic for like 20 to $100. That's like literally the size of this. And then rather than you sitting down for like half an hour for a podcast, which again can be overwhelming or maybe a tough place to start, literally just standing shoulder to shoulder and being like, where's the best place in San Diego to invest in real estate? And then they answer for 20, 30 seconds and you're like, all right, cool, thank you. And then that right there is a reel. And then again, we use that collaborator feature. Now you're showing up in their audience. And so I actually think you guys doing this model, like even just with your past clients, like anyone here had a closing in the last like 2 months? Okay, so literally I think you should go to the front of their driveway with them and be like, hey, what made you decide to live in this neighborhood? Cool, what's your advice to someone else that's trying to move into this neighborhood? And they'll ramble for 20, 30 seconds or whatever it is, and the whole point is just this Q&A, this back and forth that's mimicking your client avatar and letting them do the hard work of talking on video versus you. You're just playing host and asking the questions. So I'm kind of flying through some of these, but like this model right here, that little shoulder to shoulder, little Q&A, 30-second reels collaboration, that if I had one slide today that you all took away is truly that one. I think that's going to be the biggest hack to, it's easy to make content. You're making relationships, going around shaking hands and doing these collabs. And again, you're going to tap into new audiences by showing up to their social media.
You'll see a lot more of these coming from like DAG, because that's part of the things that we even said we were going to do with you guys. We'll collaborate on those, and boom, you've got multiple. We'll add you to them, so we can always share the ones that we have as well. But 100%, it's going to be so easy for you guys to do these.
Definitely.
500 people.
Cool.
55 in this room right now.
All right, we're moving along, and I promise, like I said, we'll have some time for questions at the end. Here's another guy in San Diego that's doing that collab model. You can see right here, he's at a showing. He has an investor client. He's in the gym, like literally just asking little questions. We did the fitness, example here a second ago. Like these are all examples of how you can constantly collaborate and make content without having to make it too heavy or brainstorm. All right, so this is a foodie example. And part of this to me is, again, leaning into what is the thing that you really, really love to do, and then just lean into that for your content. And so this guy, Adrian, is like really into all the different hot spots in San Diego to eat. So literally went to the taco stand, what's that place at Liberty Station, just like did all these different reviews of food spots for 30 seconds holding the food. Very engaging. People like to see kind of like the food shots and all that. But what's cool is like all these businesses, Taco Stand, who has 40,000 San Diego followers, they accepted his collab and promoted it and shared it. And so again, now you're getting thousands and thousands of views for doing something that is already in the same lane of what you would be doing.
He's in a one agent on Whistle's team.
Yeah.
So I mean, he's playing off what Kyle does.
It's working.
Kyle does run and test the
Yeah. And I know Kyle's is like more of a long, like kind of a longer series, long form. These are, we're talking 30-second reels, 60-second reels.
Get more views, right? Because it's shorter, attention span. I know Reels and Instagram and
Yep.
TikTok. People rather watch shorter videos than this longer version. That's what I noticed too. The engagement goes higher.
Yeah. It's easier to pull people in for like that short window. And then like if there's this phrase in marketing, pattern interruption. But if I'm in this same background, amazing logo, amazing backdrop, but if I made 100 videos right here, just visually, some of you would start scrolling back, I've seen this one before. But if you see him at Liberty Station, now you see him at the beach, now you see him at these different spots, it's constantly changing the backdrop and like the food that he has in it. So it creates lots of these pattern interrupts. And then Katie Day, she's out in Houston. So I just wanted to show this one. We already hammered this, but like the podcast model. So again, sits down for an hour conversation, gets endless content out of that over and over. I know we touched on that quite a bit. Yes, Chris. I actually think this guy is like the most creative realtor in the game. So highly, highly recommend you follow him. Yeah.
Thank you.
He's a good-looking guy. He's just had a second baby, but.
Congratulations, you're his family.
Just to see how he doesn't give a fuck. Like he does some
Yeah.
corniest stuff, but it's funny and it's always like so original. So like if some of these people I would tell you to follow, it would be I would tell you to follow him because it's like actually I'm not a huge real estate content person. I work with realtors like all the time. He's one that I actually follow and enjoy.
Yeah.
So like if you want to follow somebody that's got good stuff to see just like outside of the box stuff, he's a good one.
And when I was asking him for like basically his biggest suggestions for realtors making content, and again, I consider him super creative, so I thought he'd be like pulling all these ideas like out of thin air or whatever it is, and he basically said the magic is just in what you are doing. So again, if you have an open house this afternoon, or if you have a showing, or if you're handing the keys, I brought up that example already, hand them the key, instead of just handing them the keys, ask them for advice on what, why a buyer should move to the area or whatever it is. So I would look at, instead of blocking off 2 hours this week and be like, all right, I need to create content, look at your agenda, see what you have happening, and then make content around your calendar versus trying to go into a studio and get really creative. All right, so we got a couple examples we'll play here. So
What do you do?
I say it all the time. If The Rock and Vin Diesel had a baby,
God damn.
these are two examples. The second one's definitely going to be good to hear what he has to say, but Alfred was just speaking on a panel at Rise in Vegas, and so we had recorded that whole session. And so again, just if you look at what's already in your agenda and then find a way to capture that, then there's going to be endless content there. So we'll play this as a quick example for both of them.
I think for us, for agents.
Is there a
I think you have to probably change the auto feature.
the what?
You probably have to switch the auto feature on your computer. I don't know.
I'm so hungover
We'll
too.
continue.
I have my bag.
Is there no audio on it or?
No, I gotta exit out of this.
Oh, okay, okay.
So it's up to you guys.
Just be really quiet.
Yeah. How about?
Yeah.
All right, it's this.
The audio.
It's the second one we'll want to hear for
I
sure.
think for us, for agents, we've always had people sign into our open houses when they come in, safety and security of the home. Simple. The process never changed. We went from having to take 2% to now we're negotiating up to 4%. So I think the beauty of it is like, if we don't make it weird for them, the people who were shopping in August are pretty much the only people that realize something went on. 7 out of 10 consumers don't even realize that anything changed. So if we make it weird, it's gonna be weird. Just be normal.
Just be normal. Let's give it up for her. She killed it. She was dropping all kinds of nuggets. Yeah, the be normal one was my favorite part. So this one, I think the question was, is there a phrase that represents your team's culture?
Yeah, this really had
In
that
front of like 3,000 people, you guys.
That's what she said doesn't count. So Sharon was asking that one. I would have to say you only need one. Let me tell you why. So we're in an environment where everybody's getting their face kicked in, right? They're losing, they're not having deals, things are falling apart. And this is something that actually built this entire company for me, is I keep telling them, you're like one deal away from changing the course of your business. You only need one.
Let's give it up for Dean. Solid stuff.
It's like literally we did nothing, like I did nothing extra.
Yeah.
I was presenting and you take the content.
Like you guys talked about, you sort of, when you're doing the thing, you forget that there's even a camera, and then after the fact, it's easier to cut it up. That was in. We did, yeah, we did. We.
Means good.
He's a homie.
Good to know.
I saw
Good.
run out of Logan, so I didn't know.
Good to know. Good to know. All right, so Candace is a coach for Searhant. So she's worked with agents all over the country. Let's see if I can. All right, so the two buckets that I actually want to highlight, it's the know your clients and then collaborate with them. I know I've already said this now several times. Part of it is the first step, knowing who to collaborate with. So on one hand, it would be cool to go and interview all the different gym owners if that's like very much your thing and lean into it. But are these the clients that you do want to work with? And I think in that scenario, it probably would be yes. But it's who before the what. So be really clear on whose attention you're trying to get, and then it makes it much easier to figure out what type of content to make for them. But again, I think one of the easiest ways to do that is once you're clear on your who, then just quite literally start collaborating, do those interviews, make content with those client avatars. All right, so Jason and Dan, both of these guys are pretty big on social, YouTube, and Instagram. Asking them for tips on content that actually converts. And a couple of the tactics they talked about were number one, YouTube and thumbnails. And I think that applies both to Instagram, the thumbnails as well, if you can see on a grid. But the content that's gonna convert is gonna be very, very local and relevant, again, to what you do. A lot of this is starting to get redundant, but hopefully it's resonating. It's the content that you know that if you were a homeowner in one of these areas, would it get your attention? So whether it's news-based, announcement-based, or about a very particular neighborhood or development, then I would back in from there. So even just surveying or interviewing some of the homeowners that you've worked with or work with, and even asking them, hey, what kind of content do you see on YouTube or on Instagram that you like? And then just quite literally duplicating or remixing that. Thumbnails, if you are getting into YouTube, are probably the single most important thing for two reasons. Number one, like if you don't have a good thumbnail, then you're not even gonna get a click through for someone to watch. So I would almost spend like a majority of your prep work or your strategy on what is going to be the visual topic, the idea that we're gonna discuss, and then make the video. Sometimes people do it backwards. They'll make a video and then be like, all right, cool, how can we make this a good topic or a thumbnail? But anyone here know Mr. Beast? Like, okay, single most subscribed YouTube account, and he recommends when you do the thumbnail first, then it makes it easier and clear to know how to make the video from there and compelling. But if you do it in reverse order, you're just gonna be chasing. So more examples of thumbnails on Instagram. And again, this goes back to what we said with Chelsea Pites in the first section. You want to be super scannable. So in the first 2 to 3 seconds, can you tell that he's about San Diego, penthouse suburbs? There's a lot of stuff that's like, these are the keywords that he wants his audience to associate with his business. Another note that Dan Parker brought up on YouTube is like, when you think about Instagram and some of these other places, the shelf life of your video is like quite literally 2 or 3 days, and then it's gone. On YouTube, he closed something like 20 million in 2024, and he said that a majority of those people had referred or referenced videos that he made like 2 or 3 years ago. And so it's very like search-based intent. So even if you made a video 4 years ago, but someone searches, Terracina, the new neighborhood, or whatever it is, then you have a high likelihood of that video still getting you some action. And we've talked about the whole watch time and the trade-offs of that, but one benefit to long-form videos, and I know like I'm similarly, I don't really have the attention span to watch some of these long-form videos, but the people who do sit down and watch a 20-minute video that you might have made, if you think about like the depth of the connection that they have, they're way more sold, they're way more bought in. That's where we see conversion much, much, much higher versus people on Instagram who just kind of like scan through and then sort of glance and see it for a moment. All right, so he is the last creator I'm covering. Anyone know Neil or follow Neil Hum? Okay, cool. So I actually was fortunate enough to meet him like over 5 years ago, and I got to see his journey quite literally from like 2,000 followers to over 200,000 followers. He went from making like 200K to making well over 2 million. And in asking him like, man, like I borderline saw a bunch of people start at the same time as him. I kind of started dabbling with social at the same time as him. And I was asking him like, what is the difference? Like what will make the difference in this room for if everyone started from zero on social today? And and again, he's now like, if you don't know him, he went from like semi-dorky to he's to Canon launching like stuff into a crowd of 1,000 people at his event. He's collaborating with people like Gary Vee, Alex Hormozy now, and obviously this is compounded into lots of business opportunities. But his big piece of advice was like, just whatever you think you need to do with your content, like find a way to go bigger. So if you like the interviews and the collabs, like go hard, go do more of those videos. Don't just do a couple. So going much, much bigger on this is really going to be an opportunity for you guys to squeeze. All right, last couple of tactics I was going to say. A lot of you guys have a lot of email addresses, whether that's from old leads, past clients, etc. And everything we've been talking about on social media is obviously unrelated to those. But if you just like use something basic like MailChimp or Constant Contact or whatever CRM you have, and then just take a screenshot, copy paste some of this, and throw it into an email blast every week, then that's going to be one of the best ways to ensure all this effort you're putting into making content will actually get seen by your sphere. So don't sleep on email. I still think that's one of the strongest opportunities or channels. And then YouTube, like I said, that's what that I think is a major, major trend we're seeing. So finding a way to even get started on YouTube.
Is it about the race?
Yeah. His name is Kenny Fast. So, but his team sells like 800 homes a year. All right. So this is the last slide. That's it. I'm down to post up for some questions, but if you guys want to shoot me a DM, I have 2 of these PDFs. One of them has 99 video scripts. So if you're like, I do want to make some videos, but I just like truly don't know what to talk about, I organize it by like buyers, sellers, investors, all that. So you have some like literally word for word written scripts that you can play on.
Send you a what?
Just send me a DM. That one of them, you can DM me.
Look at that. You're following him.
You can DM me like, I'll figure it out, but DM me 99 or the other one, DM me lemon, and that shows how you can break down your videos. I mentioned LinkedIn earlier, but it'll show you how to take one piece of content and squeeze the juice across Facebook, LinkedIn, email, etc. Don't even.
Don't do me a favor and do a story real quick and post them in all of them.
Thank you.
Literally, you're gonna get
Thank you.
55 tags.
Thank you.
Do it.
Yeah, thank you.
Everybody, Instagram story for him right now.
Thank you.
Oh, you did it?
Yeah.
Go for it. Question.
Question for you. So I have like a
schedule of videos that I'm gonna do that all revolve around like one central topic. My idea was like I wanted it to be long form and then broken down into different reels.
Like a part 1 and 2 in episodes kind of thing?
Like it highlights like the same activity in a bunch of different places all around Chula Vista. But my guy's like, if you're gonna do it for Instagram, we're shooting it
Vertical.
right. So for long form for YouTube, like what's the best way to bridge that gap? Like should I have them shoot it?
Yeah, shoot.
And then try to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Shoot, and 2 things I want to bring up. But to your question, first, shoot wide and like far enough so that when someone does go to edit and cut in, they can still get it vertical without it like zooming extra tight on your face. So that's a way to kind of get best of both worlds there. But, and I don't know if this is where you're going on like the part 1, 2 episodes and so on, but remember the whole like that pie chart with the insights? Most of these people who see part 3 will have not seen part 2 and 1. So I wouldn't necessarily make it like based on that. I would try to structure each clip or each video to be its own independently useful or interesting piece of video.
And then they just be one long form video like cohesive.
On YouTube if they decide to pop over to YouTube and watch the whole thing. Yep, go for it.
What are your thoughts on like having a structured Instagram? Like what I've started implementing this year is doing like 2 regular posts that are informational, whether it's like a buyer tip, seller tip, statistics, and then 1 reel. So like Monday is a post, Wednesday is a post, Friday.
Is it because you want your grid to like look a certain way, or why are you doing that?
So it just has like structure to it instead of, because I feel confused at what to do with social media, so I feel like if I put myself on like a schedule, then it'll make sense instead of being like hot.
The only benefit I see is if it's to hold yourself accountable, like you know on Tuesdays you do X, Y, and Z, then there's some accountability or like structure to your input. But on the viewer side, no one's gonna know or care. Like it's something where people go into your profile don't really care if it's curated to look a certain way. 99% of the people on social are just seeing it in their feed when they're scrolling. And then even then a large majority are like, again, if they see this piece, they're not gonna remember, well, oh, like yesterday she did this and the day before that, so now I can expect that. Like there's just almost no one that's kind of like that deep into it.
It used to be big to do that, to have like same colors, same styles, same fonts and shit like that. We don't care.
Yeah. I think that was very like 2012 style where people like, it was just more like an insecure thing about like I want it to look pretty, but again, you can look at your insights and see like how many people are going to your page and looking, and then even then a lot of the data shows like they're just seeing your bio and then the top like 3 to 9 posts and seeing if are those interesting, and then they'll follow. So the structure and organization I think doesn't matter as much.
Most of you guys are all young in here, but I'm old, so my problem is I can do videos and I can talk and say whatever, and it doesn't bother me. My problem is actively like the cutting and the actual making of the videos. So like, do you have, it's easier for you obviously, but do you have more specific apps or whatever that you're using that are easier than others, or that like, what does that look like when it comes to actually putting these things?
Yeah, there's 2 or 3 options. We were just talking about CapCut right before that. There's lots of these free editors that you can kind of use to play with. I know that part's not easy, you just brought it up, but I'm telling you, I think part of it would, even if you eventually hire someone, I think part of the game is learning some of it.
I have an 18-year-old do it. I'm like, get your ass down.
Yeah, there you go. That's an option. Yeah. Even Instagram itself is becoming like a video editor within it. They have a lot of the same tools now as CapCut, and so I would practice just doing it native inside Instagram, or yeah, you can shoot me a DM, hit your boy, Conor.
Can you share like your opinion, or maybe if you know other people's opinion on this that are creators? So I had a job before for 4 years, escrow. I was very active in the social media that I posted. And then last year I took I just call it like a dead year. I just was kind of MIA. So coming back, I've recently been trying to post, easy stuff like related, here's my dog and I work out, like things that people know about me that are just like getting back in the habits. But it's like, I'm not passing the scan test. I know that for sure. Like it's a mess. And would you recommend like clearing, like I don't want to be known for escrow anymore, let's move on, or is it valuable to leave it to see like the journey, the growth or something? Like,
yeah, I don't want to call it valuable, but it's on the same side, it's not like helpful to delete old stuff. Again, I don't think anyone's going back to your past and be like, oh, like this is what she was, and so I would just focus on today and moving forward. What's like people will refer to it as a pillar of content. So think of it as like a leg of a table. If maybe it's interviews and collabs. Start building that consistently until you have that up, and then maybe you set up another pillar like property tours or whatever it is. So I think just look at it as today and going forward, what's a pillar that you can stick to and really hammer? And then remember, like I was saying in the beginning, like become a master at that one bucket, and then just build on it from there.
Is there any preferences between stories, posts, reels, anything like that? I know that some of them have different time lengths attached to it.
Yeah, stories, ideally you guys want to always have a story up. That's the 24-hour one, that's the bubble on your profile. That's very low production, just behind the scenes. That's good for stuff like with my kids or out at lunch or at a company meeting or whatever it is. And that does actually have a lot of attention. And I was just gonna make a post about this. Facebook just made a change to stories. In fact, if you guys go to your Facebook profile and then scroll down a little, if you have stories up, and look at that, they now made that the top of your feed on Facebook. So it almost 10x'd. Like I was looking at the average number of views people look at stories. Facebook stories have almost 10x'd recently. So I would constantly show behind the scenes. One level up from that is the things that are relevant to your business. I'm showing a client, I'm handing off keys, we're closing X, Y, and Z, I'm helping an investor, this and that. So even just showing, because there are a lot of people that are gonna be watching, and then just like I mentioned that example, that guy on LinkedIn, a year goes by and he's like, hey, you know what, I think I wanna work with you now because I'm ready. So yeah, you can literally auto connect them, so it'll show from Instagram to Facebook.
Because I recently did a post, but it was 3 seconds too long to be a reel. So I did it as a post, and it automatically turned into a reel, but I don't know if the analytics are the same. Will they show? Does the
yeah, they merged those recently, so that's essentially, it should essentially be the same thing. Posts are typically when you see an image and then you have to swipe or slide through multiple of them. Carousel. So that also is actually working really well now. There's been so many reels and so many people making videos that those slider posts are actually doing pretty well right now. But one thing I did actually want to say that you just brought up, and hopefully this is understood from the theme we've been talking about. A good rule of thumb is your face, your voice, your vibe. So if it is a picture of a just sold home, if it's a picture of just a scenery, that stuff's almost dead on arrival. And even if it is really, really good, that stuff often translates less to someone being like, okay, now I know, like, and trust him and want to make a 7-figure transaction with them. So I would, even if it's just a photo of you, start getting the habit of on your profile, having your face and your voice and your vibe so that people can get a sense to know you, because that's the data is showing they want to know you before they make that 6 or 7-figure transaction. And especially if you're, we brought up leads or whatever, it'll, even without it getting you new inbounds and getting you new opportunities, it will, generally the first impact or benefit you see is increasing conversion rate. So if you go to a listing presentation or a buyer consult, they don't know you that well, and you're able to show them no, I have some degree of presence on social, then it will elevate the conversion that they have or the trust with you.
They will look at your social, they'll look at your stuff. So also don't, remember, neutral, Switzerland, I always say it, don't be too crazy here, don't be too crazy here, but show who you are, whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that is. Isn't there, I know we talked about it, Neil had said it last year at Rise, is the voice, what's the voice?
The AI?
The enchilada guy, remember, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The one that has the morning voice
Yeah.
guy.
There's all these AI tools now, like HeyGen and other stuff, so it's HEYGEN, but they're these AI video sites where you can upload a video of yourself, and then going forward, you can basically have an AI version of you making some of this content too. So,
That's the AI one, and then there's also one that has a voiceover, I can't remember what it was.
yeah,
called.
those will let you sometimes just put a voiceover of a different person's voice, and so that way, even if it's just B-roll of you walking and showing homes and other stuff, B-roll is just a clip without you actually talking, but it's showing the scene. So even if it's just clips of you walking and doing other stuff and none of you talking, that'll at least show your vibe in your face, and then you can still have a voiceover of someone saying some inspirational quote or something like that too. All good questions. All good questions. Go for it.
What about are you just making videos, or do you recommend making videos just from your phone, or is it better to have a nice camera to do?
I'd say start with a phone until you've really like feel like you've mastered the phone. Then I think that's the best place to start. This mic actually that I'm wearing, I can show you guys after, DJI. It's like $100 and something mic. I've tested all of them. That is by far the best mic. So if you were gonna put any sort of budget toward like a equipment or something, just clean up the audio. Because most people don't really care if it's like super crispy professional camera, but if they can't hear you from the back of the room or it's kind of muffled with wind and stuff, then they're likely to scroll past you. So audio is the first place I would start with investing. And then this is maybe a small tip, but like a lot of times people will use this selfie camera. Especially if you have the 3 lenses, this is like a significantly better camera. So even if you're doing a selfie video like this, just throw it on like 0.5x so it's not all zoomed in tight. But use this camera whenever you're making videos. And then another small tip, but like we all touch it like this and smudge it with our fingers. And so you'll see it all like foggy on the lens. Just like literally just wipe it with your shirt for 2 seconds. That's a big improvement on the camera.
You can even get like the little ring lights for your, like lighting is, like Allie's got this monster one that she always takes out when we go, and it's like this, she plugs it in and it's a monster one, but it changes it dramatically. So just by throwing small lighting changes like that will change it. So rather than buy the new camera, like these are dope. Like these have a lot for us. There's no need to go out and buy a new camera or anything. Just add some decent lighting. Yeah, and you can even use like there's a window in the back there. It's like almost a perfect day where it's got this kind of like soft gray light. So just even being next to a window is a good way to get some good light.
Are you saying to like flip the camera so you're looking at your and not yourself?
Exactly. It actually, by the way, if you test it, like when people do selfies and you can see yourself, everyone always starts looking at themselves, right? Like, how do I look, this and that. When you flip it around, you don't even have a choice. You're just looking at the lens like you're talking to someone's eye. And like I saw with yours, you have the one. If you can upgrade to the phone with 3 lenses, that's a significantly better camera for making content.
If you're not an iPhone, I'm really, really sorry.
Yeah. Then you just don't have a shot.
Sorry, you're gonna have to buy a camera. Just kidding. You guys have good cameras too, actually.
For the thumbnails you said for YouTube, those are like the most important. What are your recommendations for making it?
Yeah, great question. So you don't have too many words on the screen, maybe like 2 words, like restaurants in La Jolla. So keep it really, really tight and bold. And then, so just stealing what Mr. Beast has said on this, like you can definitely go the route of clickbait. But what clickbait is like something that's very, very compelling and enticing, but doesn't deliver. So be clickbaity, but deliver on the thing. So that's why I think it's important to, like almost a better answer to what you're saying is instead of the design and the aesthetic, it's the pre-planning. It's like, all right, what is this going to say on the screen? And if I did show that to 100 people, would they feel like, oh shit, I need to see what's in that video? Or are they like, cool, restaurants in La Jolla? So I think the planning of the thumbnail or the topic is probably the more important takeaway than the aesthetic.
You showed a good one, which was don't swim and sand.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah.
What about, because everyone here is going to start their social media. If they haven't already got it, they're going to deep dive into it. How much time, like realistically, could they do an hour a day on it? Could they do a couple hours a week? Like, what do you think? So they're not overdoing it where we forget to call it clients.
Yeah.
But like.
Yeah, I have 2 answers on this. So like, I think when it comes to the creating and like publicly one-to-many putting yourself out there with content, like you get away with like less than 2 hours a week. And so part of that again is having some pillar or strategy that you can go back to. So if it's interviews or if it's property tours of homes you're at, like again, it's just finding the thing in your schedule and your agenda that you can weave it into versus blocking off time. But then the second part that we actually didn't even touch on this at all today, and had a client who got his first appointment from social media, but I guarantee it's not how you were thinking. It was outbound reaching. So you guys all probably have done some degree of prospecting or cold calling, texting, door knocking. Yes, no? Okay. So same thing on social media. It's the same game. So if you get 500 people or 10 people who liked your video or your post from yesterday, literally send them a DM. Just be like, yo, Crystal, saw my video about the new restaurants in Tierra Santa. Like, how's your business doing? Like, what's new with the kids? So start an open-ended combo.
Albert said he left you on red.
Yeah, bro.
I was like, oh fuck, I went to go.
2023. Okay, see, so that's literally a core part of my business. Is yeah, bro. What the f? So reach out. So actually, to her question, I actually think a majority of your time should not be content pushing out there and then sitting back and chilling. It should be content and then following up and engaging one to one to one to one. So it's prospecting, it's not just marketing.
Chad did that this week because he posted something and then he had like 3 or 4 people to go through. Dean, tell them about, because you're like, no one has a better story than Dean's, the directors.
Oh, yeah, so I was, fuck, what was, I forgot.
So he's got 2. I'll tell you the story because he doesn't. He's got 2. The Mary Jet story. Like when we first started in real estate, and like well, not first started, but when he was trying to go for coaches, like it's really hard when you're looking for coaches. Like you've got Tom Ferry and he had Mary Jet that was right beneath him, right? Those were like the 2 top coaches to get. Like no one was better than her. Now you can tell the story. Now that I reminded you.
So I just, for Mary Jane,
This is the same
continuously
as this. This just comes with 2 mics versus 1 mic.
DM'd her, and I kept telling her a little bit about our business and who we are and what we believe in and all that stuff. And remember, she was a top coach at the time. She left me on red for quite a very long time. And then ultimately, I told her, hey, we're having a baby, right? I'm looking to change my life. You're the #1 coach. Please take me as your client. As soon as an opening came up, I was in.
We had her for like 6.5 years. She helped us build like a lot of the stuff here. Now, you know, Dean acts, so tell them about the directors.
So the director, there's a director that done a lot of projects that you guys probably know. Is a casting director actually. So I would notice that she always posts stuff about like building her business and going into a new location. Obviously had to do with like building out this office. And I'm in real estate. So all I kept doing was I was DMing her, but not to actually land a role. I was giving her advice on zoning, things like that. It was pure business. She would go to my page and she started liking everything. And then next thing I know, I noticed, and by the way, I don't have, there's no one's following me in the acting world. And so now I noticed she had followed me and she started responding to me. Thanks so much. To a point where there was one role that she offered me, and by the way, I didn't get it, but she offered me to audition for, but all that came was from me giving her value versus asking for an audition for a role, which is what a lot of people do.
Yeah, it wasn't even content, it was you essentially reaching out.
It was what you did.
Yeah.
It left you on red.
He does post a lot. He's got a lot of followers, and he does post a lot too. And he'll have people that like, so then he'll turn around and follow. And then like there are certain people he'll start reaching back out to after they've liked things. And it's always bananas because he's like, did you see that so-and-so followed my shit? And I'm like, oh my god. It's actually like James fucking Gunn likes his posts, and I'm like, are you kidding?
The guy who
He's a huge
created Marvel.
Yeah.
Right. I started doing the
DC.
same thing. I've been slow commenting the comment strategy.
Yeah.
And he fucking looked at my stories like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because if
phenomenal,
you're trying to
right?
get
I'm like, cool.
You're
You should
in
start
there.
doing that shit all over.
Now
Yeah.
you're in their feed. It's the same thing you guys can do with clients too, which is I think is awesome. We talked about this the other day, which is so good. It's like, bro, like interact. Like somebody does it, interact. Make sure you're responding back. Somebody likes your stuff. Those are your core people right there. So stand.
Yeah, the point of social is to get you guys conversations for your business, not like look all cute on TikTok. So Sharon, the president of Real, says like all the conversion happens in the conversation. So when you're making content, I would think about how am I actually turning these into conversations.
It's amazing. What other questions you got, Mark?
General question, is TikTok being banned? I feel like you would know this.
Yeah, it's scheduled to be to be killed on Sunday. It's no. So that's what's still being determined. Initially, they were saying they're going to remove it from the App Store and no longer update it. So we're going to have kind of a gradual burn of it getting glitchy. But TikTok supposedly just announced this last week, like if everything's getting passed through on Sunday, they are going to hard kill them. So I don't know what's going to look like on Sunday or Monday. But yeah, yeah.
Go to Instagram.
Yeah.
Which is actually
I know. Yeah, it's true. That's a big opportunity now. They are going to go somewhere.
So if you're not on
I do take off.
100.
If they really do it, because we're the only other ones that does reels.
Red note.
Words. Well, we're the only other ones that does. That is the only other one that would do reels like that. So, bro, start your IG up.
Yeah. Joe.
Weren't they saying something about selling it to Elon Musk? Is that true?
That one was a rumor that Elon would buy it, but Mr. Beast is actually posting about how he's trying to, but
I saw yesterday that they're coming to final negotiation. creation today, so.
Yeah, I'd be shocked if it goes through. So
Shark Tank, Mr. Wonderful. You put in a bid on
yeah, that's
They
true.
wanted 20 billion.
LinkedIn, email, Instagram, and I'll see you guys all on social.
Okay, you gotta go.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You're
No, you rock.
amazing.
I
I love you
appreciate
so
you
much.
having me.
Thank you.
Of course.